This is Valley News Live at 10.
Welcome to Valley News Live at 10. I'm Justin Betty. It was a snowy day for many across the Red River Valley and a blustery day for everyone. I-29 closed right now from Grand Forks to Canada because of the blowing snow. We'll take a look at your weekend forecast in just a couple minutes. But first, let's send things out to Valley News Team's Aaron Walling live in Fargo. We'll look at the road conditions. Aaron, the roads are slick tonight.
Justin, that's an understatement. On some of these intersections, like here on 45th Street South and 40th Avenue South, cars are sliding in as they're trying to stop. Earlier when we were pulling up, the car next to us got rear-ended as a car was sliding through. It's like a sheet of ice out here. I'm going to step out of the way so you can see this intersection. I don't know if you can tell, but some of the glare that's coming off, that's just pure ice, and people are sliding as they're coming through. And if you saw that fire truck coming out earlier, a lot of these trucks have been going out to accidents, as well as we've been seeing, multiple calls on Pulse Point for accidents and for traffic collisions here in the Fargo-Moorhead area. And folks, if you do decide to go out tonight, give yourself some extra time when you're coming up to intersections. Slow down, especially with the conditions. You got the wind, you got some snow that's starting to fall, and slick roads. Just give yourself some extra time. And please be careful when you're going into intersections. Justin, I'm glad that you're warm back in the studio, but if you are out tonight, folks, please be safe.
All right, thank you, Aaron. Aaron Davis, you guys go get warm as well. All right, now for a look at what Mother Nature has in store for us next, let's send things over to First Alert Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson. Hutch.
And First Alert Weather Day continues even into the late night hours as the wind has not given up, and it's causing blowing snow, reduced visibility. And as you mentioned, I-29 closed from Grand Forks to the international border and a no travel advisory. Let's get you caught up on everything. First and foremost, a look in on Grand Forks as the wind continues. Even into the overnight, we're going to have travel impacts out there with near zero visibility in open country. Let me get to the weather wall and point out what we have going on. First and foremost, the area in red here in northeast North Dakota, where you see that basically Highway 1, all Highway 18 and Interstate 29 there, all no travel advised with the interstate closed to the Canadian border from Grand Forks. A look into Minnesota, and we have no travel advisories from Crookston to Grand Forks. So stay put if you don't have to drive. We got some fresh snow up north. Now we continue with these winds gusting 40 miles per hour, mainly in eastern North Dakota. Get into the trees of Minnesota, though. Fergus Falls, still windy there too, 37 miles per hour. That's creating slippery travel conditions. Visibility in the south not as bad as it is up north, where the snow really fell earlier today, and we have it under a mile in places and even a half mile up near Langdon. The National Weather Service issuing a winter weather advisory just moments ago until midnight for this. This is lofted snow picked up by a very gusty core of wind now moving into the northern reaches of the valley. So we'll continue to keep our eyes on this. Cold air is making its way in. Justin, 2 more rounds of snow Saturday and again on Sunday. I'll have hour-by-hour details on what you can expect as it looks very wintry for our weekend ahead.
All right, thank you, Hutch. New for you all tonight, the number of active confirmed COVID-19 cases in North Dakota hit a pandemic-era high today, nearly 11,000. According to new numbers from the State Health Department, you can see them here. That's up about 2,000 from the beginning of the month. However, the number of people hospitalized for COVID-19 has only risen slightly over the last month. The number of new deaths in North Dakota from COVID-19 has actually been falling since a peak in October. Minnesota has also been seeing a record number of new COVID cases over the last few weeks, though unlike North Dakota, Minnesota's hospitalization numbers have been rising, though not to the degree that the new cases are. New information on those 4 bodies found near the U.S.-Canadian border this week. Authorities now say 7 other people managed to get across the border safely. They say the man who has now been arrested was waiting for them in an SUV on the U.S. side with supplies, things like water, rental receipts for cars. Still no word on how the people got near the border to begin with. You probably think of illegal immigration as a southern border issue, but as we're seeing, that's not always the case. Valley News Team's Aaron Walling spoke with Homeland Security today about their work on the northern border.
This week, news broke out about the death of 4 Indian nationals on the Canadian side of the border, which resulted in the arrest of Florida's 47-year-old Stephen Shand for human smuggling.
Certainly those involving human smuggling and human trafficking are top priorities for this agency.
Tanya Price, a special agent with Homeland Security Investigations, explains the difference between human trafficking and human smuggling.
Human smuggling does require the crossing of an international border, whereas human trafficking is really separated out from a labor trafficking incident or a sex trafficking incident. Either labor or sex trafficking would require force, threats of force, fraud, or coercion.
While the southern border receives a lot of attention for illegal crossings, Price says that the northern border has its share of problems as well.
And you're absolutely correct that there is a higher prevalence rate of it happening across the southern border from Mexico into the United States. But unfortunately, we are seeing some of the border crossings occurring in the northern border as well. It's really about opportunity, and it's at the direction of the smugglers.
And at over 5,500 miles, the northern border is a lot of ground for Price and her colleagues to cover.
So we work as a concerted team across the entire northern border to understand what might the new smuggling routes look like. We utilize different law enforcement techniques to be able to identify those routes.
In Fargo, Aaron Walling, Valley News Live.
Homeland Security Special Agent Jamie Holt, based out of St. Paul, put out a statement tonight saying, quote, "These losses could have been prevented were it not for individuals concerned more for their own greed than the safety of others," end quote. The man convicted of the murders of 4 people in Bismarck in 2019 has filed for appeal. Chad Isaac was sentenced to 4 life sentences without the possibility of parole for the shooting and stabbing deaths at RJR Maintenance and Management. No dates have been scheduled yet for these additional proceedings. Today, the University of North Dakota announced they will not implement a proposed gender inclusion policy on campus. President Andrew Armacost said in a statement, quote, "Uncertainty existed about the consequence of not following the proposed policy's guidance about the use of preferred pronouns on campus and the impact on freedom of speech and religious exercise and expression," end quote. The North Dakota Catholic Conference, who last week penned a letter of concern about this proposed policy, says they're happy with the decision. A 2018 NDSU alum has become a social media star and a rather famous bachelor with his series 50 Dates in 50 States. Valley News Team's Alex Larson met up with him today to find out what he's up to next.
New dates, new adventures, new destinations, new car.
Matt Warnick graduated from NDSU in 2018 and since has rose to TikTok stardom. He started 50 Dates in 50 States during COVID lockdown.
I wanted to find a way to entertain myself, so I decided to go on a virtual date with a girl in every single state. And once that gained some traction online, especially on TikTok and social media, then once I went on a virtual date in every state, I was like, I got to up the ante and I got to go visit them all in person.
With over 350,000 followers, he's not done with dates yet.
So I was like, all right, got to do it again, got to do season 2.
Warnick says season 1 was not about finding a love interest, but instead showing what fun things there are to do in each state.
Going to the White Sands in New Mexico, I thought that was amazing, or zip lining in the mountains of New Hampshire. I thought those 2 things were really cool.
An idea that started at home in Montana has grown into more than he could have imagined.
Last year I was in my 2001 Ford F-150 and it had 200,000 miles on it, and so I'm surprised it made it through all 50 states. I have a new management team, a new PR team behind me, things like that, so we're really just going to kick it up a notch and take it to the next level.
Season 1 didn't have a winner.
All of my dates I said, hey, you guys listen, like I will not rank any of you, I won't say who's my favorite, my least favorite, any of that, and I want to stay true to my word.
But Matt says he's received over 5,000 applicants in just 3 weeks for season 2. And we're the first to know that this year he will pick a winner.
Me and her will get to go on an all expense paid trip to Puerto Rico for 4 nights, which is pretty sweet.
Alex Larson, Valley News Live.
That says season 2 will kick off next month with the first date in Michigan. Still ahead on Valley News Live at 10, our exclusive look at what led to a deadly police shootout in Medina County last year.
And here's what you need to know. We have wind, we have fresh snow, and it's blowing around, reducing visibilities. Interstates are closed up in the Northern Valley right now on I-29 to the Canadian border. Your hour-by-hour forecast includes even more snow this weekend. Details are next.